Welcome back to Elderly Smiles. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and click the bell icon to stay updated. Let's begin the discussion.
Ever get that feeling like life is just on fast forward, like the years are just slipping by?
Yeah.
We're diving into a story today that really got me thinking about that and about, how we find those moments of peace and joy even as things keep changing.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fascinating exploration of resilience, really. The story we're looking at today, it touches on those big questions.
Mm-hmm.
Love, loss, the shifting landscape of family, and those tough choices that sometimes come with aging.
Exactly. We're following the journey of a man named Michael. And let me tell you, there were parts of his story where I felt like I was reading my own diary.
Wow. What's so powerful about Michael's experience is that it really speaks to these universal truths, these almost inevitable transitions that many of us face as we get older. It's about figuring out how to not just age, but thrive.
Okay, so rewind a bit. Michael's in his early 60s, recently retired, and he's got this, picture-perfect financial plan.
Okay.
But then life throws him a curveball. His wife passes away.
It's a moment that really underscores the importance of preparing for the emotional side of retirement.
Right.
Not just the financial side. You know, he had the money part figured out.
Yeah.
But the emotional landscape was something else entirely.
He talks about this almost suffocating silence in his house.
Oh, wow.
His kids are great. They call, they visit. But there's this distance now, Their lives are humming along at a different pace.
It's a common experience, but often unspoken.
Right.
It's not just about being physically alone. It's that feeling of disconnect, like you're watching life go by from the sidelines.
And it hits him hard. He starts having trouble sleeping, loses interest in his hobbies. Even something as simple as making dinner felt overwhelming.
Wow.
Have you ever experienced that, listeners? Where the things that used to bring you joy just feel empty?
It's so interesting that Michael's initial response was almost to lean into that isolation. He talks about spending days just staring out the window, lost in thought.
But then he has this aha moment.
Cry.
He realizes he has a choice to make.
Yeah.
Succumb to the loneliness or fight back.
And he chooses to fight.
Yes. He starts small, takes walks around the neighborhood, joins a book club at the local library.
Good.
He even reconnects with an old friend, David. They hadn't spoken in years, but suddenly they were back to their old routines.
Right.
Coffee every Tuesday, sharing stories, just being there for each other.
Those connections, even seemingly small ones, they can be lifelines.
Absolutely.
It's about finding those points of light in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Those reminders that you're not alone.
And here's where it gets interesting. At the library, he meets Sarah.
Okay.
She's vibrant, full of life, and they just click.
It's a beautiful illustration of how relationships can evolve as we age. They weren't necessarily romantic, at least not in the traditional sense, but their companionship brought this new layer of joy into both their lives.
He talks about how their conversations felt deeper somehow. They talked about books, of course,
right?
But also about their family,
right?
Their fears, those big questions about life and what comes next.
It's a reminder that companionship doesn't have to fit into a box. The need for connection, for someone to share your thoughts and experiences with, that doesn't diminish with age.
But then Sarah's daughter asks her to move in to help with the grandkids.
Okay.
It's a happy occasion for them, but for Michael, it's another loss.
Oh.
Another empty chair at the table.
It's a complex situation, right? The joy of family intertwined with the pain of separation.
Yeah.
And for Michael, it triggers all those fears of being alone again.
He really wrestled with it.
Yeah.
He even considered selling his house and moving closer to his kids.
Okay.
But something held him back.
This is where we see Michael's growing awareness of his own needs. He realized that being physically closer to his children wouldn't necessarily bridge that emotional gap.
It's almost like he was starting to understand that true connection comes from a deeper place.
Right.
Not just proximity.
Exactly. And this realization leads him to make a pretty significant decision.
He decides to move into a retirement community. Now, I know for some people that might sound like the opposite of freedom, but for Michael, it was a step towards taking control of his life.
It's fascinating how our perceptions of these transitions can shift as we age.
Yeah.
What might have once felt like a loss of independence
Right.
becomes a choice, an act of self-preservation.
He talks about it as a chance to create a new chapter.
Yeah.
A community where he could be surrounded by people who understood the unique challenges and joys of this stage of life.
And it's in this new environment that he faces perhaps his biggest challenge yet.
Oh.
The loss of a dear friend.
Oh, no.
He becomes close with a woman named Elizabeth, a longtime resident. They bonded over their shared love of gardening, their quiet walks in the courtyard, those unspoken moments of understanding that come with shared experiences.
It's a reminder that even in unexpected places, we can find those deep connections.
Absolutely.
Those kindred spirits who make the journey a little brighter.
Yeah.
But then tragedy strikes.
Oh, no.
Elizabeth is involved in a car accident and,
Oh, wow. It was just a stark reminder,
Yeah.
of how fragile life can be, especially at that age,
Wow.
when loss becomes a more frequent companion.
Michael rushed to the hospital and, the waiting was just agonizing.
Oh, yeah.
He sat by her bedside holding her hand, just hoping for a miracle.
There's something so incredibly poignant about those moments, that desperate hope, battling against the stark reality of the situation.
He described feeling this overwhelming sense of helplessness.
Wow.
Like he'd faced so much loss already, and now this. Another blow, another empty space in his life.
It makes you think about the ripple effects of loss. How it touches not just the individual, but the entire community.
And in a way, it brought back all those feelings of grief
Right.
he'd experienced after his wife passed away. So like the wound had reopened, raw and painful.
Grief is complex, isn't it? It can
Yeah.
linger in unexpected ways, resurfacing when you least expect it.
He stayed by Elizabeth's side until the very end. She slipped away peacefully, but it left Michael, just shattered.
It's a powerful reminder that even when we know loss is inevitable, it doesn't make it any easier to bear.
He went through the motions of the funeral, the condolences, but inside he just felt numb. Like a part of him had shut down, like a defense mechanism,
Right.
to protect him from the overwhelming pain.
It's a common response to grief. That need to withdraw, retreat into oneself to process those emotions.
His children worried about him, of course. They tried to be there for him, but he kept them at arm's length.
Sometimes, even the most loving support can feel intrusive. When you're grappling with grief, it's that feeling of being utterly alone in your pain.
Right.
No one else can truly understand what you're going through.
It was in those solitary moments, those quiet evenings in his apartment at the retirement community, that Michael started to really grapple with the big questions.
Yeah.
Questions about life,
Yeah.
death, the meaning of it all.
It's like loss has a way of just stripping away the superficial,
Oh.
forcing you to confront the core of your existence.
He started reading philosophy, exploring different spiritual traditions,
Wow.
searching for some kind of framework to make sense of it all.
It's a journey many of us embark on at some point, that quest for meaning, for purpose, for something that transcends the day-to-day.
And as he read, as he reflected, he started to notice this shift in his perspective.
Okay.
It wasn't about finding definitive answers, but learning to live with questions.
It's about embracing the uncertainty, the mystery of life, rather than trying to control it.
He started to appreciate the beauty in the simple things. The way the sunlight streamed through his window in the morning, the sound of birds singing in the courtyard, the warmth of a shared smile with a fellow resident.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound experiences are found in the everyday, in those quiet moments we often overlook.
And as his grief gradually softened, he started to notice this newfound sense of peace within himself. Not a peace that erased the pain of loss, but a peace that acknowledged the pain and embraced it as part of the tapestry of his life.
That's a beautiful image, isn't it? That acceptance of the full spectrum of human experience, the light and the shadow, the joy and the sorrow.
He realized that even though life was unpredictable, even though loss was inevitable, there was still so much beauty to be found, so much connection to be made, so much love to be given and received.
It's a powerful message of hope, isn't it? That even in the face of adversity, we can find a way to embrace life, find meaning, connect with others, and cultivate that sense of peace within ourselves.
He even started to see the retirement community not as a place of decline, but as a place of renewal.
Interesting.
A place where he could forge new friendships, explore new interests, and contribute to a community that values his experience and wisdom.
It's a wonderful example of how our perceptions can shape our reality. By choosing to see the positive, by focusing on the opportunities for growth and connection, Michael transformed his experience.
And you know what? He even started to embrace his age, the wrinkles around his eyes, the silver in his hair.
It's that shift from seeing aging as a process of decline to seeing it as a process of becoming.
He realized that each line on his face told a story. Each silver strand, a testament to a life well lived, a life filled with both joy and sorrow, love and loss, triumphs and setbacks.
It's about reclaiming the narrative of aging, seeing it not as an ending, but as a continuation. A new chapter filled with possibilities.
And as he embraced this new perspective, he found this renewed sense of purpose. He started volunteering at a local soup kitchen, sharing his stories with younger residents of the community, offering a listening ear for those who are struggling.
It's that beautiful reciprocity, isn't it? The way that by sharing our own experiences, by offering our wisdom and compassion, we not only help others, but we also enrich our own lives.
He realized that even in the later stages of life, even in the face of loss and uncertainty, there was still so much he could give, so much he could learn, so much life to be lived.
It's a reminder that the journey doesn't end with retirement or with any particular milestone. It's an ongoing process of growth, connection, and discovery that continues until our very last breath.
Michael's story really touched me, and I think it holds some powerful lessons for all of us, no matter what stage of life we're in.
It's a story about resilience, about finding meaning in the face of loss, about the transformative power of connection, and about the beauty of embracing the journey every step of the way.
It's a reminder that life is full of surprises, both joyful and heartbreaking, and that it's in those unexpected turns that we often discover our greatest strengths, our deepest connections, and our most profound sense of purpose. It really makes you think about how we define success, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not always about the big achievements, the corner office, the material possessions. Sometimes it's about finding that quiet sense of contentment, that inner peace that comes from living a life aligned with your values.
Absolutely. And Michael's story reminds us that this kind of success, like this fulfillment, is attainable at any age. It's not about how many years you've lived, but about how you choose to live those years.
One of the things that really stuck with me was how Michael learned to reframe his relationship with loneliness. He didn't try to avoid it. He actually leaned into it.
It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
By accepting loneliness as a natural part of the human experience, he was able to transcend it.
Yeah.
He talks about those quiet evenings spent reading, reflecting, simply being present with his own thoughts and feelings.
He describes it as a kind of solitude that wasn't isolating, but rather a source of strength and renewal. It was in those moments of stillness that he connected it with a deeper part of himself, a part that was beyond the roles he played, the expectations he carried.
It's a reminder that solitude can be such a powerful tool for self-discovery, for introspection, for cultivating a sense of inner peace.
And I think that's what ultimately allowed him to form such deep connections with others.
Yeah.
He wasn't seeking connection out of a sense of lack, but rather from a place of wholeness.
That's a beautiful insight. When we approach relationships from a place of self-acceptance, of being comfortable in our own skin, we're able to connect with others on a more authentic level.
It's like that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Michael had to fill his own cup first, through self-care, through reflection, through embracing his own journey, before he could truly give to others.
It's a powerful reminder that taking care of ourselves is not selfish, it's essential. It's only when we nourish our own well-being that we can truly show up for the people in our lives.
And, it's not like Michael's life became a fairy tale. He still faced challenges, he still had moments of sadness, but he had learned to navigate those experiences with grace and resilience.
He developed a toolbox of coping mechanisms, if you will. He knew that when those feelings of loneliness or grief surfaced, he could turn to his books, his gardening, his walks in nature, or simply the quiet comfort of his own company.
He also discovered the power of gratitude.
Oh, yeah.
He made it a habit to start each day by reflecting on the things he was grateful for. His health, his family, the roof over his head, the simple pleasures that life offered.
Gratitude is such a powerful practice, isn't it? It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have.
Yeah.
And it opens our hearts to appreciate the beauty in the everyday.
And I think that's what ultimately allowed Michael to find such profound joy and meaning in the later stages of his life.
Right.
He had learned to embrace the present moment, to appreciate the simple things, and to find connection and purpose in the most unexpected places.
His story is a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt, to grow, and to find beauty even in the face of adversity. It's a reminder that it's never too late to create a life filled with meaning, purpose, and joy.
So what does this all mean for us, the listeners?
Yeah.
I think Michael's journey offers some really powerful takeaways that we can apply to our own lives, no matter what age we are. It reminds us to embrace the present moment, to cultivate a sense of gratitude, to nurture our own well-being, and to seek out connections that nourish our hearts and souls.
Absolutely. It encourages us to reframe our perceptions of aging, to see it not as a decline, but as an evolution, a journey of continued growth and discovery.
Michael's story is really a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of loss and uncertainty, we can find a way to live lives filled with purpose, connection, and joy.
It's been a pleasure diving into this story with you today, listeners. May Michael's journey inspire you to embrace your own path with courage, resilience, and an open heart.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.